What we're seeing in Afghanistan is unlike anything that, I've never seen anything like this, to be honest. A lot of people have pointed to the fall of Saigon, but at this point, it's worse than that. So what is next? How are we going to evacuate all of these Americans? How are we going to get out Afghan assets? How are we going to deal with China? President Biden and the military brass, will any of them be held accountable for this failure? House Minority Whip Steve Scalise may have an idea. He joins us now. Congressman, thank you for being here and giving us some of your time today. We appreciate it. Good to see you.
Yeah, good to be with you. Thanks.
So I have to ask you this question about evacuation flights. And I know that U.S. law, there's certain things that the U.S. is required to do. But this is after, we were hearing the president talk about evacuating Americans, how he didn't really think that there was he thought chaos was the only option. Of course, you heard from Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin, you heard from, General Mark Milley. And now the reports are that there's some Americans are being charged for these evacuation flights to even depart. And my head is spinning, as I'm sure yours is, because here we didn't have anything situated, no visas, no nothing to get everyone out. And now they're being surprised at the last minute after Kabul has fallen. And if they're able to be lucky enough to make it to that airport there, Congressman, in Kabul, now some of them are being charged up to $2,000, according to NatSec Daily, in order to be able to get out of the country. What can you tell us about this? And I know you and others are working hard to help this evacuation process. What light can you shed on it?
Yeah, right now, me and a lot of my colleagues are focused on helping Americans and our allies, the translators who are helping our troops, to help them get out. But first of all, for President Biden today to say chaos was inevitable and was expected, it's flat out just not true, because he was saying something very different 2 weeks ago. Does he forget that he was saying this wasn't going to be like Saigon with people, helicopters evacuating the embassy? He said that just a few weeks ago, and he was dead wrong. In fact, we saw the helicopters evacuating the embassy. You're right. It is worse than Saigon, maybe worse than Saigon and the Bay of Pigs. But it was completely predictable. The experts were saying if they pulled out too early, this would happen. And while things were under control, while we hadn't had a loss of life in a year and a half, if President Biden wanted to pull everybody out, he had the ability to plan it out so that you could get the Americans out before the Taliban took control of the country. It was completely avoidable. For him to say chaos was inevitable is flat out inaccurate. It's a complete and epic failure of President Biden's foreign policy. Many Democrats are saying this too. It's very, very frustrating. It angers people who serve. I talked to a mom who lost her son in Afghanistan a few years ago from my district. And these families are heartbroken. And people who have friends behind enemy lines are heartbroken because it was completely avoidable. Every single ounce of focus of President Biden's right now needs to be getting these Americans out. But at some point, he's going to have to come clean the American people. 2 weeks ago, he said this wasn't going to happen. And today he's saying, of course, it was going to happen. Those two don't mesh.
No, they don't at all. We're talking with Congressman Steve Scalise. They don't at all. And then we're hearing, too, that from the press conference yesterday, and it was a stunning moment because Lloyd Austin was asked by one reporter if they're actually dependent upon diplomacy with the Taliban to get Americans who are outside of the airport to the airport safely. And then, of course, we see the video of all the chaos outside of the airport. And then today, hearing reports of these planes that are leaving half full. So clearly, they're not able to go out. And we heard Lloyd Austin say this: the United States can't go out and just bring giant groups of people back to the airport there. What is your thought on this? Because it sounds like there are a lot of Americans not at the airport that aren't going to be able to get there anytime soon.
Yeah, and we're still not getting clear answers from the Biden administration. When we've asked how many Americans are behind.
And you're in Congress, and they're not telling you.
Do they have a list of the interpreters? We had been working for months to get the interpreters out, and there are some reports that they may have shredded the list when they were just having this fire sale to evacuate the embassy. When, again, this could have been planned. It could have been planned where you had weeks in advance to get everybody out before they let the Taliban run roughshod over the country, which they've done. But days ago, just 2 days ago, you had people falling off of airplanes because they were so overfull. And then today, there's empty seats on the airplane. I mean, this is complete and utter failure and mismanagement. Is Biden going to clean house? If it wasn't him, he said the buck stops here, and then he went on blaming everybody but himself for what happened. This falls on President Biden and Kamala Harris. They made this call. Kamala Harris bragged that she was the last one in the room. So maybe, my God, Was anybody saying this is the maybe the dumbest, craziest way to approach it? And now our allies around the world are just livid themselves. Look at Britain today. Britain admonished President Biden by name, especially for him bashing and blaming the Afghan army. These were people we were working side by side with who told us they were not ready for America to pull out. And he pulled out anyway, and then he blames them. Our allies around the world who we're going to have to partner with on other things are watching this. And as we know, our enemies are watching this too. You know, China is looking right down at Taiwan. Russia's looking at Ukraine. What's Iran thinking? What's Pakistan thinking when they've got nuclear weapons and right next door now they have a terrorist organization running the country? And we have a porous southern border where we know people have come across that are on the terrorist watch list before Afghanistan fell to the Taliban. What's he going to do now? What's President Biden going to do now to protect America? Because we're on the heels of the September 11th, 20th anniversary. We haven't had an attack on our homeland in 20 years, thank God, in part because of the bravery of our men and women in uniform and the fact that we were fighting the terrorists across the globe in their countries. They're going to want to come back here to America. What's President Biden doing to keep America safe? This is a total and epic failure.